Hey, what's going on, y'all? So this Sydney Sweeney situation is crazy to me. Super interesting. Not because I'm into like tabloid, gossipy type stuff, because I'm not. And not because I'm preying on somebody's downfall, because I don't do that either. But I feel like this situation is the perfect example of why tap dancing around serious conversations, instead of just drawing a line and saying, I'm not on that side, I'm not going to do that, it explains why tap dancing and tiptoeing around these serious situations can backfire on your entire career. It shows why having an elitist mindset where you have this thought process of, I'm up here, you guys are down here. Don't ask me to explain myself. Don't worry about it. Don't ask me any questions. I'm just going to be done with it. Figure it out on your own. Having that elitist mindset, how it can make your career flop. Also, it shows how the importance of knowing your audience, like how important that actually is. Not knowing your audience, whether you are teaching a third grade classroom or you're the CEO of $1 billion company and you're wanting to sell shoes to the masses. No matter what situation you're in, you have to know your audience. And that's something that Sydney Sweeney totally failed at. And that's part of why she was a budding superstar movie maker. And now it looks like her career, her superstar, is just starting to dim out a little bit. Maybe her whole career is flopping. We shall see. So let's go ahead and get in the situation real quick. So Sydney Sweeney started this movie or TV show actually called Euphoria. I've never seen Euphoria before, but I know it's been a huge HBO hit. My daughter loves Zendaya, who's actually the lead role in this show. My daughter does not watch Euphoria because my daughter's 11 years old. She likes Zendaya because of her Disney stuff and because she's in Spider-Man. So people love Zendaya. Zendaya is a huge, huge star. And since Sydney Sweeney co-starred next to her on this incredibly popular TV show, Sydney Sweeney began to be more and more popular. Well, then she started getting some movie roles. The biggest movie that she starred in so far is a movie called Anyone But You. And I'm almost embarrassed to admit it, y'all, but my wife and I went and saw this movie, and I actually liked it. I'm not embarrassed to say that because Sydney Sweeney's in it. I'm just like, if you just look at that movie, that's something that I'm typically not into, not even close. But I went, watched it. I laughed a few times. I was interested. It was a cool movie, I thought. But anyway, the movie did all right. It opened up, I think, about $6 million on the opening weekend. Yeah, about $6 million opening weekend. So that's not terrible, but it's not definitely not great. So anyway, she started getting into these movies, starring in these movies where her name is actually on the front poster, right? So she's starting to get some traction. Next thing you know, a commercial hits the waves. An American Eagle commercial. Maybe I've seen it.
I'm not here to tell you to buy American Eagle jeans. And I definitely won't say that they're the most comfortable jeans I've ever worn. Or that they make your butt look amazing. Why would I need to do that? But if you said that you want to buy the jeans, I'm not going to stop you. But just so we're clear, this is not me telling you to buy American Eagle jeans.
Sydney Sweeney has very keen.
You see what I did there, right?
All right, so this is the American Eagle commercial. Now, if you want to know how crazy popular this thing was or how much attention this commercial ad, whatever you want to call it, if you want to know how much buzz it had going around, American Eagle has 67.5 subscribers. This video got 10 million views. If you know anything about YouTube, that's not typical at all. Usually to get 10 million views, you've got to have like 20 million subscribers. Usually you have this many subscribers and then this many people watch the video. She did the complete opposite. It's kind of crazy. Like to have 67.5 subscribers and then get 10 million views, that is unbelievable. So that should tell you just how crazy this commercial was. And if you want to drive that point home, go ahead and just go to YouTube and type in Nike commercial. Just type in any commercial and see how many views it has. 10 million views for a commercial is nuts. All right. So the part that people had concern about, or the part that people were really frustrated with, is this part towards the end where it says, Sydney Sweeney has great genes. And they're talking, it's a gene commercial, Jean. It's, talking about what you wear. But they were talking about genes, Genes, meaning like blue eyed. She had a different commercial where she talked about blue eyes, blonde hair, saying like your parents passed down good genes to you. And some folks felt like that commercial and what they're saying is a little too close to what the Nazis were doing. It's a little too close to what white supremacists preach about blue-eyed, blonde hair. Those are good genes. If those are good genes, Genes, then what are bad genes? Do I have bad genes? If what she has are good genes, the genes that I have, are they bad? So that's what people were saying, which I can totally understand that. So the ad started going crazy. Everybody wanted to watch to get their own opinion. It was on news stations and everything. Then people started asking her and reaching out to her on Twitter like, hey, man, do you want to get out here and explain to people that that's not what this ad is actually saying? Do you want to maybe come out here and say, hey, my name is Sydney Sweeney. I'm not into white supremacy. I'm not into any of that stuff. She just like, no, I'm not going to do that. Stayed quiet, stayed silent. I thought that was a dumb, stupid move. I thought it was an elitist type move. Somebody was saying, I'm up here. These fans, these people who are buying these jeans, they're down here. Don't ask me to explain myself. Going about your business and I'm going about mine. Leave me alone. That's what it seemed like to me and probably to a lot of other people. That's how it would read. So people continued asking her to come out and make a statement. She never did make a statement. Then Donald Trump got involved. Of course, anything that has anything to do with attention, Donald Trump wants to attach his name to it. So what happens here is like in one ad, it says, Sweeney says, genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue. Okay. So then she also says in another ad posted to the company's social media, Sweeney is seen cleaning a photo of herself with the tagline, Sydney Sweeney has great genes, with genes crossed out. Instead reads Jeans. So they are just doing a play on words with the word genes that you wear and genes that you're born and passed down with. Okay. So then it says some critics of the ad campaign claimed it promotes eugenics, a scientifically inaccurate theory that humans can be improved through selective breeding and populations. So there's a whole lot of things that people were saying. It started getting all kind of weird and all kind of, it just started getting kind of twisted. So then folks started talking to Trump and they said, hey, you realize that this Sydney Sweeney girl, lady, woman, whatever, you realize that she is a registered Republican? When that news got out, it was like, uh-oh, maybe she is on that kind of thought process. Maybe she is kind of on this Trump train and this white supremacist type mentality. Are you sure you don't want to come out and say anything now that this information came out, Sydney? Once again, she's like, nope, not saying anything. Y'all can run with whatever narrative you want to, go for it. And people continue to run with those weird narratives. Honestly, I shouldn't say weird because I don't know how accurate those narratives are, to be honest with you. But anyway, when they explained it to Trump, his response was, oh, now I love her ad. Is that right? Is Sydney Sweeney? You'd be surprised at how many people are Republicans. That's what I wouldn't have known. But I'm glad you told me that if Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican, I think her ad is fantastic. That's what Trump came out and said. All right. So first you have this ad that people are assuming might be kind of white supremacist. Then you have people asking her, do you want to come out and say that you're not? Then she says, no, I'm not going to do that. Okay. So maybe you are. Then Trump comes out. Well, first, before that, word gets out that she's a Republican. Then people are like, are you sure you don't want to say anything about this? Once again, nope, not going to say anything. Y'all can run with whatever narrative you want to. Okay. Then Trump jumps in the picture and he's like, oh yeah, I love her now. If she's a Republican, I love her. So first the commercial, then it comes out that you're a registered Republican. Then Trump jumps out there and he says he's a huge fan of you because of this ad and what you believe, apparently. Then they say, are you sure all three of these things you don't want to jump on and say something? Just simply say, I don't believe in white supremacy. That's all you got to do. And it's done. I don't support white supremacy. The ad is just a jeans ad. Thank you very much. That would have solved all these problems. Nope. Too proud, too cool to do that. So what happens next? Sydney Sweeney lands a huge, potentially career-changing role. So she's coming off of this Anyone But You movie, and it did really well. The first week didn't do so hot, but critics started giving it these really good ratings. And I told y'all, I liked the movie. Critics started giving it these really good ratings. So it made people start to see it more and more and more as the story went on. So Sydney Sweeney lands this huge movie role called Christy. It's a movie called Christy. And I'm telling y'all, this thing flopped so bad. Like so bad it flopped. One of the worst flops of all time. Not in the last 5 years, not in the last 10 years. One of the worst of all time. It opened in over 2,000 theaters and it averaged $649 per theater. To let y'all know how bad that is, that's just like, I can maybe make a movie and get 649 movies in my hometown theater. Like, that's bad. So $649. It talks about movies that had similar openings. I don't really care to go talk about those. But I just thought it was really interesting that this movie did $1.3 million in its opening weekend, which is, if you don't know anything about movies, that is tragic. So for her to come off of Euphoria, which did really well, Anyone But You did really well, she gets this major lead role in which she's portraying a famous boxer named Christy. True story movie. It's a true story. It's a biography. So she get this role that some folks said she might win some awards on and all this stuff. It had got all this high praise for it. And then it just totally flops. Why would that be? It's because she did not know her audience. The people who she refused to respond to, the people who she refused to come out and say, hey man, I'm not on this white supremacist stuff. Yeah, maybe I am registered as a white. I mean, that's almost said registered as a white supremacist. She could have come out and just said, maybe I am registered as a Republican, but that's as far as it goes. I'm not into this. I'm not into that. I don't support Trump. She could have done any of that. She refused to. So now she's doing a biography about a lady named Christy, who's a boxer, who's also a lesbian. So she's making this movie and she's expecting MAGA to go to a movie about a white lady who has supported Democrats in the past, who's also part of the gay movement, that she expects MAGA to carry this movie. That's how it ended up bombing as much as it bombed. To be honest with y'all, I planned on seeing this movie, Christy. I planned on watching it. But then once I found out about this Sydney Sweeney stuff and what she was on, I was like, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool on that. And I ended up not watching it. I'm not going to watch it until she comes out and she makes a statement saying, no, I'm not for this. I'm not for that. I don't support this. I don't support that. This elitist mentality, I hate it. I cannot stand it. Do not act like you're standing up here and we are all down here. We're asking you, do you really believe in this? And your response is like, hey, when I feel like making a statement, I'll make a statement about it. That's an interview that she just put out just the other day. I think it was yesterday. If I feel like making a statement about it, I'll make a statement about it. But until then, I don't want to answer that question. Oh, okay. So that's how you feel. So it leads us to have to believe that you own that kind of mentality. You own that line. So just to give you an example of how bad $1.3 million is in the opening weekend, Mufasa did $12 million. Dog Man, which my daughter loved, did $36 million. Captain America, $88.8 million. Novocaine, $8.8 million. Snow White, $42 million. The Working Man, which I don't know what that movie is, $15 million. Minecraft movie, $162 million. Sinners, wonderful movie, $48 million. Thunderbolts, $74 million. So as you see, what looks like a good opening is somewhere around $50 to $100 million, what you really are looking for. She got 1.6 million. Tragic. So this is who the movie Christy is about. Christine Salters. Christine Salters, now it used to be Christine Martin. But anyway, she was a famous boxer, like a big time famous boxer. She fought Layla Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter, and everything. So she got busy. She had 59 total fights. She ended up winning 49 of them, lost 7, and had 3 draws. And she's like a strong advocate for, against domestic violence, strong advocate for women who've survived domestic violence. And again, she's also part of the gay community. So the fact that she was portraying this lady in a movie, she's upsetting all of the people who would typically support this type of movie or this type of person, all the people on the left. She's like, no, I'm not going to respond to y'all. And she's basically clinging on to Trump's support, which is going to make all of the MAGA cult followers also support Sydney Sweeney. But they're not going to go and watch a movie of Sydney Sweeney portraying a gay boxer who supports domestic violence or who pushes against domestic violence. I don't want to word that incorrectly. They're just not going to do that. And that's why the movie bombed like it did. And then, the movie comes out. It performs terribly at the box office and people start talking about how poorly it's performing. Then all of a sudden, Sydney Sweeney starts to make, I'm not going to say she starts coming out into the public because that's not what she did, but she actually made a statement, which I was shocked to see that she did because it seemed like she was just going to quietly just sit on her high horse and not respond to anybody. But anyway, Sydney Sweeney saw how poorly the movie was doing at the box office. And then she put this statement out on Instagram. She says, I am so deeply proud of this movie. And keep in mind, this is after it's already been shown that this movie is flopped big time. I think it cost like $15 million to bank. I think it cost $15 million to make. And it made $1.6 million in the first week. So it's going to lose probably about $7 million what it's probably going to end up losing, which is, again, tragic. So anyway, she said, I'm so deeply proud of this movie. Proud of the film David made. Proud of the story we told. Proud to represent someone as strong and resilient as Christy Martin. This experience has been one of the greatest honors of my life. This film stands for survival, courage, and hope. Through our campaigns, we've helped raise awareness for so many affected by domestic violence. We all signed on to this film with the belief that Christy's story could save lives. Thank you to everyone who saw it, felt, and believed, who saw, felt, and believed, and will believe in this story for years to come. If Christy gave even one woman the courage to take her first step towards safety, then we will have succeeded. So yes, I'm proud. Why? Because we don't always just make art for movie, or we don't always just make art for numbers. We make it for impact. And Christy has been the most impactful project of my life. Thank you, Christy. I love you. So again, this was supposed to be a game-changing performance for her. We've seen some people take on these roles like Jamie Foxx did Ray. It put him in a whole different stratosphere. Will Smith did Ali. Put him in a whole different stratosphere. Once you do these huge biopic movies, it changes who you are. It makes people take you so much more seriously in the movie industry. So this is what she was hoping she was getting into. But the fact that she handled this situation so poorly, it basically ruined the day for everybody. And I know Christy's story, actually. I do know Christy's story. I saw her story on, I think it was a Netflix special. I ended up watching that, like a documentary, and it was crazy. Her situation was crazy. So I knew the story, and I felt like it would make a really good movie. I just don't like the person who was actually starring in the role, so I'm not going to watch it. Seriously, that's just how I feel about it. And I think a whole lot of people feel the same way that I do, and I believe that's partly why this movie has tanked as much as it did, which is unfortunate for some. It's totally unfortunate. While she's sitting here and she's saying how proud, she's saying how proud she is of this movie, but I think she's failing to talk about how her pride specifically, failed this movie. She was too proud to come out and just say, hey, y'all, I understand where you're coming from. I could see how you could see this commercial, this ad. I could see how you could see it in that way, but that's not what I'm portraying here. This is what we're actually portraying. This is what I stand for. This is what I stand against. If she wasn't too proud to simply come out and say something like that, unless she really feels that way, if she wasn't too proud to come out and stand like that, or if she wasn't too proud to come out and just say that, I believe these results, as far as this $1.6 million in the box office, would have been totally different. That's what I believe. But she was too proud. So then someone who I'm sorry, but I've never heard of, but someone named Ruby Rose, and this was today actually, the 12th, she comes out and she basically she tried to torch Sydney Sweeney for this. So basically what happens is Ruby Rose is saying that she was supposed to be in talks of doing this movie and playing this, the lead role in this movie. And somehow Sydney Sweeney ended up getting the role from her, which that does happen. So I don't think people should look at Sydney Sweeney wrong or like she stole something. She just is a more popular actress. People know Sydney Sweeney a little bit better. Maybe they thought that she would fit the role better for whatever reason, and they gave her the role instead of giving the role to Ruby Rose. But anyway, I thought Ruby Rose had an incredibly important statement about this whole situation. She said, the original Christy Martin script was incredible, life-changing. That's what Rose said on Threads. She said, I was attached to play Cherry, and Cherry is Christy. That's her nickname. Says that she was supposed to play Cherry. Everyone had experience with the core material. Most of them were actually gay. I have to make sure I read that correctly because I am not, but whatever. Most of them were actually gay. It's part of why she stayed in acting. Losing roles happens all the time. This is the part that I think is incredibly important. She says, for her PR to talk about it flopping and saying Sydney Sweeney did it for the people, none of the people want to see someone who hates them parading around pretending to be us, meaning the gay community. You're a cretin, and you ruined the film, period. Christy deserved better. Some of that stuff I don't want to agree with too much because some of those names were a little aggressive, but I totally agree with the sentiment in this. You cannot tiptoe and tap dance around white supremacy when people are saying you're a white supremacist, you support white supremacist type things. You cannot just sit back and be like, yeah, I'm not going to say anything. They can think what they want to. You cannot do that, especially if you're going to be playing someone who is affected by white supremacists. You can't do it. If you are playing someone who is gay, you cannot be potentially, maybe, or assumed to be on the same side as Donald Trump, someone who has been totally against the gay movement. Can't do it. So I want to read that part again. She says, none of the people want to see someone who hates them parading around pretending to be us. That is so important. You cannot do that. So at this point, I have to assume that Sydney Sweeney is on this Trump train. I have to assume it. She's had too many opportunities to come out and say, no, I don't believe in that kind of stuff. I'm not doing that. She's had plenty of opportunities and she just didn't do it. So let me know what y'all's thoughts on this whole situation. Like I said before, I think it's a really good exercise to explain why tiptoeing around important situations like white supremacists is bad. Why having this elitist mindset where you just say, I ain't got to explain myself to y'all. It's terrible. And then also why it's really important to know your audience. Sydney Sweeney upset all of the people on the left. She upset all of the people who would actually see this movie. So now there's no one left to watch the movie. It's kind of like what Elon Musk did when he was Team Trump all of a sudden. It's like, okay, so you're Team Trump, you're Team MAGA, you're totally on the right, far right. You realize the people on the right, they buy like old pickup trucks and 1995 Ford ST, like they buy that kind of stuff. they're not going to buy a Tesla. The people who buy Teslas are the folks who are on the left, and they don't want to use gasoline because it's bad for the environment. Those are the folks who are buying Teslas. So when Musk went over to the far right, the folks on the left, they're not buying Teslas anymore, and the stock just plummeted like crazy. The sales plummeted like crazy. It's like they don't know their audience, which is crazy. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on this, man. This is, like I said before, I think this is a very intriguing situation here. Not because I'm into the gossip stuff, but because I think that it explains how people should be firm in their thoughts, and how sometimes it is important for us to say, hey, no. I don't believe that. I'm firmly against this. I'm firmly for that. I think it's important to do that from time to time. And she just felt like she was too elite to do that, apparently. So anyway, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. Gonna continue building this thing one like and one subscription at a time. All right, so that's all I got for y'all today. Take care. God bless. Peace.